I'd like to invite Dr. Rajesh Mohan, who is the diversity lead for Royal College of Psychiatrists. So on to you, Dr. Mohan. And you have got 10 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Firstly, thank you, Karam, and thank you, Talil, for initiating the work with the Royal College of Psychiatrists and for meeting with us early on. Sorry to say that it was going to be Adrian James talking today to you, and I'm standing in for him because he's unfortunately double booked and gives his apologies. I've actually got a few slides, and what I was going to say is touching on the college's Equality Action Plan, which might be highly relevant. But the Equality Action Plan will work differently for different people because everyone has very different needs. So I'm going to try and share this, and forgive me if that's not going to work. I'm one of the two presidential leads for race and equality, and this is work that's relevant to President Adrian James's priorities, which one of the key priorities was equality and diversity. So we've undertaken a piece of work. Now the college makes a very clear commitment to equality in all its forms, and essentially, college is opposed to all forms of prejudice and believes that everyone should be treated fairly, regardless of their age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership status, race, religion or belief, sex or sexual orientation. So essentially, you will all know that these are the 9 protected characteristics which are enshrined in the Equality Act of 2010. This essentially means that all organizations have a duty under law to ensure equality based on these protected characteristics, or to eliminate all forms of discrimination based on these protected characteristics. But you also know that there are other characteristics on which people are discriminated. It could be, particular groups of individuals like those who are homeless or those who are seeking asylum, for example. They're not directly covered under the Equality Act, but the college is very keen that we take into account each person's individual characteristic. And when you look at these 9 characteristics, you realize that somebody of a certain age is also of a certain gender and may have a disability, and they may have their own sexuality, and they may be from particular ethnic. So different characteristics come together, and this is called intersectionality. The college wants to take into consideration each individual and what their specific needs are. But as you can see, it's very difficult to put that into policy or law because it is about personalization. But this is something that psychiatry does very well. So I would just say that in order to derive the Equality Action Plan, apart from having 2 presidential leads, and I do this job jointly with Dr. Ladi Smith, we looked at all the previous reports and recommendations that had been published. We held roundtable meetings with people with lived experience and panelists. We looked at all the barriers as to why the previous reports had not been implemented, which led on to developing an action plan. And the intention is to develop competent organization as a college and to support the NHS organizations and excuse me, all the healthcare organizations. So the college published its Equality Action Plan in January 2021. So can't believe that it's already been over a year. So the broad intentions are to deliver improved access, experience and outcomes for all groups of people. Now this includes patients, the carers of patients, staff and allied organizations. We want to make sure that it's an inclusive approach to equality. You want to make sure that each individual and each institution, organization is competent to deliver steps. The third thing, which is actually the most important point for me, is that the changes that you make must be relevant to the people who are affected by it, which can only be achieved through co-production, which I will mention again. And then there is an extremely important need for the right kind of data to make sure that you make progress. And when you're not making progress, you know what to do. You need to have very good accountability and systems in place. And this is something each organization has to develop. So just to be clear about what co-production, co-design means, is that the purpose of the actions should always be led by actual lived experience of our members, or patients or carers. And the interventions or the changes that you want to make must always be co-produced and co-designed with the people who will be affected by it. You would expect that things won't change overnight. So you need to have an incremental approach to change through measurement. And so we're recommending using high quality data and quality improvement approach and methodology, which are aimed to achieve equity. So one key priority area that many members contacted us about was that they were not getting, when I say members, I mean college members, said they were not getting access to the right kind of reasonable adjustments that they need in order to continue at work and in order to fulfill their obligations. But organizations are already meant to do that. This is part of their legal obligation to staff. But many organizations are reluctant or they don't have the expertise to make these adjustments, and something that we need to really push forward. And basically what you're trying to do as a college is to tell organizations that they have to follow the law in this regard, because there are very clear regulations here, but it's not happening in a way that benefits people with disability-related needs. So the college, as an organization, needs to be inclusive. It needs to be visible and active. So the College of Psychiatrists, the Royal College of Psychiatrists, is in a very unique place because people will listen and understand, and we're in a position to talk about the importance of disability inclusion and making sure that we welcome equal participation of people with disabilities. If there are any disparities, we need to be owning it and actually doing something about it. So the college statements, all the activities of the college must reflect this because it will make people feel more welcomed. The other thing is to make sure that we understand as a college what different members will be seeking. You examine all your online content and publications to see if things are accessible, if the college building is accessible, and making sure that you use the college surveys to further changes that you want to make, and make sure that these changes are monitored and progressed. So I think I'm going to stop there. I hope I haven't used up all my time. If people want to make a comment or say something, you're welcome to. I'm not sure how it works, but thanks again for asking me.